Hello, my crafty friends. Well, today we're studying the third part of 4 about Jesus' sorrow and how he experienced the sorrow and suffering that we as humans experience so that he could understand us to become a better intercessor between us and God the Father. These are the verses that we're going to study today, and Hebrews 2:18 is the one I'm going to use on the journal page. If you want to pause the video right now and mark these in your Bible so that you can read along, that would be great. Don't feel obligated, but if you want to, that would be great. What were some of the ingredients of Jesus' suffering? His sufferings came from his temptations, and that we read that in Hebrews 2 verses 14 through 18. Therefore, since the children share in flesh and blood, he himself likewise also partook of the same, so that through death he might destroy the one who has the power of death, that is, the devil, and free those who through fear of death were subject to slavery all their lives. For clearly he does not give help to angels, but he gives help to the descendants of Abraham. Therefore in all things he had to be made like his brothers, so that he might become a merciful and faithful high priest in things pertaining to God, to make propitiation or reconciliation with God by atoning for the sins of the people. For since he himself was tempted in that which he suffered, he's able to come to the aid of those who are tempted. As the thrice Holy One, sin was never a temptation to him, for he was not of this world of which Satan is the prince. When he, Satan, assailed Jesus in the wilderness, he found nothing in him he could appeal to. And this is Matthew 4, verses 1 through 11. Then Jesus was led up by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. And after he had fasted for 40 days and 40 nights, he became hungry. And the tempter came and said to him, If you are the Son of God, command that these stones become bread. But he answered and said, It is written, Man shall not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes out of the mouth of God. Then the devil took him along to the holy city, and had him stand on the pinnacle of the temple, and he said to him, If you are the Son of God, throw yourself down. For it is written, He will give his angels orders concerning you, and on their hands they will lift you up, so that you do not strike your foot against a stone. Jesus said to him, On the other hand, it is written, You shall not put the Lord your God to the test. Again the devil took him along to a very high mountain, and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their glory. And he said to him, All these things I will give you if you fall down and worship me. Then Jesus said to him, Go away, Satan, for it is written, You shall worship the Lord your God, and serve him only. Then the devil left him, and behold, angels came and began to serve him. And then Hebrews 4, verses 14 through 16 says, Therefore we have a great high priest who has passed through the heavens, Jesus, the Son of God. Let's hold firmly to our confession, for we do not have a high priest who cannot sympathize with our weaknesses, but one who has been tempted in all things just as we are, yet without sin. Therefore let's approach the throne of grace with confidence, so that we may receive mercy and find grace for help at the time of our need. Holy, he recoiled from and could not but resist him. But how he suffered! 40 days without food during the battle with the powers of hell left him physically and mentally exhausted. But angels came and ministered to him. His sufferings came from his environment. The world around Jesus was sinful, and one in which the saints would find tribulation if they lived a life of separation from its evil ways. But his surroundings could not and did not contaminate him. The wicked deeds of his sinful contemporaries could not injure him morally. Gracefully he endured the contradiction of sinners against himself. He ever remained separate from sinners. A sunbeam loses none of its glory, although it shines on a dunghill. But coarse jests, ribald laughter, lies, they all caused him suffering. Some said that he was devil-possessed, and others affirmed that he was mad and took up stones to kill him. Although now saved, we were once sinful, but Christ, who had never sinned, lived above his environment. His sufferings also came from his sympathy. When the diseased woman touched Jesus, he felt that virtue had left him. In all of his healings, he gave a part of his own being. perfect compassion for the sick, the sorrowing, and the sinful made inroads upon his physical makeup. He made the sorrows of others his own, or as Isaiah put it, he carries their sorrows. Cries of need always secured his never-failing aid. No wonder he was weary on his journey of mercy. He was constantly touched with feelings for the infirmities of others. And he again quotes Hebrews 4:15, for we do not have a high priest who cannot sympathize with our weaknesses, but one who has been tempted in all things just as we are, yet without sin. Ours is the privilege of becoming partakers with Christ's suffering. And this is 1 Peter 4, verses 12 through 16. Beloved, do not be surprised at the fiery ordeal among you, which comes upon you for your testing, as though something strange were happening to you. But to the degree that you share the sufferings of Christ, keep on rejoicing, so that at the revelation of his glory you may also rejoice and be overjoyed. If you are insulted for the name of Christ, you are blessed, because the Spirit of glory and of God rests upon you. Make sure that none of you suffers as a murderer or a thief or an evildoer or a troublesome meddler. But if anyone suffers as a Christian, he is not to be ashamed, but is to glorify God in this name. His sufferings came from disappointments. It was true that he was never discouraged, as Isaiah prophesied in Isaiah 42, verses 1 through 4. Behold my servant whom I uphold, my chosen one in whom my soul delights. I have put my spirit upon him. He will bring forth justice to the nations. He will not cry out, nor raise his voice, nor make his voice heard in the street. A bent reed he will not break off, and a dimly burning wick he will not extinguish. He will faithfully bring forth justice. He will not be disheartened or crushed until he has established justice on the earth, and the coastlands will wait expectantly for his law. Yet the Gospels reveal that, human-like, Jesus was often disappointed. A keen disappointment can cause mental suffering as intense as any form of physical suffering. Alexander Pope wrote, "Blessed is the man who expects nothing, for he shall never be disappointed." And he called that the ninth beatitude. I think, to me, Alexander Pope, what he says is, I don't know that I would want to put that in with Jesus's beatitudes, because if we never have any expectations, we can never move forward. I don't know. That's something to make me think. Jesus expected a fitting response to his teaching, and when not forthcoming, he was disappointed. Can you not detect the feeling of disappointment when many of his disciples went back to their old ways and walked no more with him? And the pathos in his voice when he said to the 12, and it says here in John 6, verses 66 through 69, as a result of this, many of his disciples left and would no longer walk with him. So Jesus said to the 12, "You do not want to leave also, do you?" Simon Peter answered him, "Lord, to whom shall we go? You have the words of eternal life, and we have already believed and have come to know that you are the Holy One of God." Then something of his failure can be sensed in his wailing over a lost city. And this is Matthew 23, verses 37. "Jerusalem, Jerusalem, who kills the prophets and stones those who have been sent to her. How often I wanted to gather your children together, the way a hen gathers her chicks under her wings, but you were unwilling." Nicholas Rowe has the appealing phrase, "I feel the pangs of disappointed love." These were the pains Jesus felt as he wept over the so-called holy city. Then what about his heart sorrow when his friend came and betrayed him with a kiss? Because he lived in the will of God, he knew how to spell disappointment as his appointment. So this is what he was appointed to have to suffer and to live through in order to save us. We have one more part of the different kinds of sufferings and sorrows that Jesus suffered as part of his humanity, and we will discuss that next week. I'm going to go ahead and get the verse ready here. Hebrews 2, verse 18. For since he himself was tempted in that which he suffered, he is able to come to the aid of those who are tempted. Okay. I got out some things to play with today in our for our journal page, and this is today where today's page is going to be. Jesus is our hope. So I got this stencil out to use, and this tree, because I got this, and I don't know if I'll use the tree or not. I just thought it might be interesting to incorporate it somehow, and it might not work out. So we may not use that one. I wanted to use these birds, but I wanted some kind of background besides just this. So I'm going to use this jelly print. I really love it. It's got a lot of yummy stuff. And so I'm doing as you go measuring on the page. May or may not be the best way to do it, but this is one of my favorite jelly prints. There's just something about it that looks like an aged wall, that's been through a lot. Okay. Glue stick. It's hard to see if you've got glue stick everywhere or not. I added a new light today, so I'm trying to see if it'll help me where things, oops, maybe that's not the right way. These are not exact squares, so there we go. Whoops, it's still not on there perfectly, but there we go. And I've got this piece of tissue paper that was sent to me in Happy Mail, and I think it's really pretty. I do think I want to make this look less straight down there. So now I'm trying to see if this will even work on the page. Scoot that there a little bit. And then I can put the verse there, and then we might just go ahead and put the tree there, just for some balance, maybe. Okay, I'm going to ink this and ink around my page. And then I'm going to glue these two things down, and then we're going to use some texture paste with that. So ink. And I think I may use a different color. Sepia is always my go-to first choice or first thought, but there is some kind of a green. I think I'm going to use this garden patina because there's little bits of that in there, of that color or something similar. We will see. Okay, I'm going to move this. All right, I like that. And now I'm going to stick this back under there because I do want this to be over on the side. Plus, that'll make it a little easier for me to put down. Well, let's just do this for a minute. Let's go ahead and glue this down. I think that's a little bit crooked, and I didn't get any glue on that corner. Okay, let's try that again. I don't know that that's any less crooked, but we're going to go for it. I think I'm just going to go ahead. If I use Mod Podge, I think that will end up going clearer, and we'll be able to see this stuff behind it better. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Where is my Mod Podge? There it is. This is my homemade version. So I always have to shake it up first just to be safe. And I need a brush. Okay. I'm sorry, got to get some water because I don't want to let that brush dry out with glue on it. Okay. Well, go out from the middle. Tends to give you less wrinkles than starting at the top or the bottom or the side. Still got some wrinkles, but the deli paper that I had jelly printed on was a little wrinkly, plus it's got texture on it, so all of that kind of adds to that same wrinkled look in there. And I'm going to pause the video and let this dry, and then we'll move on. Okay, it's not completely dry. I can still see some white spots in under there, but it's doing a pretty good job of having the tissue part fade into the background. So I think by the time we get finished, it'll be really good. I want to put this word on here, and I think I want to have this tree where it runs right up to this branch, and it, you know, it's real straight edged here, so I'm going to try not to do that, but sometimes I think I'm not going to not do something and then I totally forget by the time I get to doing it. I've got this black gesso, and it's old. I've had it a long time, and it's really thick. So I think it might work kind of as a texture paste thing. Anyway, we're gonna just put it on here and see what happens. Well, the E didn't come out too great, but let's move that out of the way. Let's get some paper and kind of okay, well, that's going to be enough. The acrylic paint kind of gives that some better stability once it dries anyway, so I'm going to not worry about trying to get all the paint off. I just wanted to get all the gesso off. I just wanted to get most of it off. And there I've got a word I can cut out and use for something else some other time. Okay, now the tree. So we're going to try it with the same stuff. Oops. I don't know. Well, that didn't turn out so great. Oh, it leaked under. So this wasn't quite as thick as I thought it was. But we're going to leave it, and we're going to be okay with it. It does leave a... What am I trying to say? Oh, see, when they get bent, these paper ones, they're hard to use after that. Okay, we're just going to let that sit and dry too. It does lend some balance, but it's not as pretty as I wanted it to be, but that's okay. I'm going to add some stuff into that at another date on another video, and we're going to play with it. I'm going to try adding some cinnamon to it and see what it does. Anyway, it is what it is. So, but I think it looks pretty good except for where it leaked. Oh, Hebrews 2:18. For since he himself was tempted in that which he has suffered. He is able to come to the aid of those who are tempted, and that's us. And we are grateful and we have hope because of that. God bless you. Bye-bye.